All right, guys. Let's figure out what Tim Pool's problem with socialism is.
The Joe Rogan experience.
And when you look at people that are anti-capitalist, they're really into socialism, one of the things you find is a lot of rich kids.
Okay, dude.
It's weird, right?
It's fucking real weird. It's because they don't understand real struggle. Because they've
Wait, so the starting premise of the conversation is when you look at socialists, you find a lot of rich kids because they don't know real struggle. What the fuck? Don't you think it would be the fucking capitalists who don't know real struggle? Because they're the ones who fucking own all the shit? And own the fucking businesses? Like,
grown up without it, and they have these ideals, like they feel guilty because they've grown up without struggle, and they want to help the world, and they think capitalism is evil, and I never saw my dad. So
he's reaching so far into the fucking, like, the imagined psychology of the straw man. Joe Rogan does this with guests all the fucking time, dude, when they talk about socialism. He does this all the fucking time. They're literally just talking about a straw man. Like, they just invent this figure of the, like, hypocritical, like, intrinsically hypocritical rich kid, socialist college kid who's like mad or whatever, and then they're like, yeah, that's what it is, and this is why they believe this, and this is why the whole philosophy is illegitimate. It's like, shut up, dude. Like, this is literally two guys talking. They have no clue what the fuck they're talking about.
we need to get all these rich people, and they need to give that money to all these poor people, and we need to balance out income.
You know what else they noted?
Apparently that's what socialism is, guys.
The people around them were all white.
And then Tim Pool pulls their white card. Destiny does this too. This is Destiny's meme. The white college kid thing.
People that are into socialism?
The people that are into socialism tend to be upper middle class,
obviously
white.
We're generalizing in a big way here.
Right.
A lot of.
Oh yeah, because people who are lower class and black would have no interest in joining a fucking workers movement. Like, what the fuck, dude?
There's some studies, some research that came out, and it finds the overwhelming majority of socialists.
They're trying to make socialism look like it's not a legitimate struggle for justice. And it's just like a rich kid meme.
In the United States, they came from upper middle class to upper class families that tended to be white.
Yeah, and those are the ones that focus so hard on these social justice warrior issues.
You take a...
What the I like how Rogan still uses the word social justice.
person who's been surrounded by rich white people.
Yes.
It probably got a reason to not like them. But then they assume all white people are the same. And you end up seeing this, See,
this is the reaching into the psychology thing again. Nobody assumes all white people are the same, dude. If you're like me, you're an anti-essentialist, which means that anything aren't the same. The only same thing about them is that they are the thing. Like, the left does not believe in absolutes like that.
Racialization of politics.
Also,
it's not hating white people to be anti-racist.
And themselves in a position of affluence that they didn't earn. They want to burn it all to the ground.
Yep.
Is socialism burning it all to the ground? Is that what it means?
And they assume,
And then he shakes his head and goes that way. It's like, dude, it's so cringe. You don't know what you're saying.
I think there's some truth in that. That there's people who have money they didn't earn, and they're leeches on the system. They make money from money. They've never done anything in their lives.
Sure.
They're arrogant.
Sure.
Those are capitalists, dude. That's Jeff Bezos. That's who you're describing.
A lot of people like that.
Right, but when you then take that generalization and apply it to anyone who has money or everyone, and you take it to a dark place.
Exactly.
When I first started,
a dark place, dude. We're not absolutists. We don't hate people who have money. We want to fix the system.
Entering the public space in terms of news and politics, I was at Occupy Wall Street, and before I had any notoriety, I was being heralded.
Yeah, Tim Pool's fucking his whole career before all this bullshit that he's been doing on YouTube for the last 2 years was just like he jerked off at Occupy. Like that's his whole like resume as a fucking political actor.
Called me a good example of what's wrong with the system. Here's Tim Pool, a high school dropout, mixed race guy, and here he is just sleeping in a dirt park using his phone to tell the real stories of the world. After I got featured
Oh, he's just sucking his own dick. Wow.
in Time magazine, what did they say? Tim Pool is white and he was born with a silver spoon, which is not true. Is absolutely not true. But the socialist types, the activists, couldn't accept that I had, jumped the class system, I guess. Their view of the world is rigid, that the rich people keep the poor down, there's no chance for upward mobility, and that's not the case.
Our point is that fucking upper mobility and fucking economic class mobility in this economy has gone down. That's the point. It's that there's less ability, less opportunity to move to the upper classes from the lower classes. That's what we say. Not, oh, it's just this and you're stuck there.
Absolutely can become successful from, humble means.
One of my favorite AOC quotes was her talking about it's literally impossible to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when she used to be a waitress
I know.
and now she's a congresswoman. Like you can't, it's
Just because you used to be in one job and now you're in a better position doesn't mean you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, dude.
not impossible, but it's not even. That's what we need to address. It's not even. The reality is some people...
The point of the you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps thing is to say that a poor kid can't literally just make himself rich, like off his own volition. Like, you can't just be like, oh, magically I'll just fucking ascend to the
a far easier path.
Absolutely.
And some people have a far more difficult path. It's just but you have to deal with the hand you're given. If life is a game, and I'm not saying it's a game, it is life, but it's similar to a game in that you're dealt a set of cards. You're dealt a set of circumstances. And
some of those are way more fucking limiting than others, dude. How do you not get that? Like, that's all we're saying.
yes, some people just get 4 aces from birth. Your dad's a multi-billionaire and your whole family's always been rich and you never have to worry about a goddamn thing for the rest of your life. But guess what? Those people turn out to be fucking miserable and crazy. There's some benefit in being born with a shitty hand of cards.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There really is a motivational
damn it,
benefit
dude.
for sure.
Gumption.
Or you just starve to death because you're fucking, or you just like fucking have a medical emergency you can't pay for and your family goes bankrupt. Like, Jesus, dude, like, there's an advantage in being born at the bottom. It's like, yeah, maybe the disadvantages of having a world like that outweigh the advantages, though. Like, you ever consider that? Fucking Mr. Big Brain, fucking Mr. DMT taker.
Yes.
There's a TED Talk. There's one personality trait that guarantees success. Of all, it's not intelligence.
And he's citing a TED Talk, by the way.
It's not class. It's not race. Not gender. You know what it is?
What?
Perseverance. That's it.
I believe that.
There's a TED Talk on it. It's interesting, and it's true. Now, I think there's always going to be certain limits based on your ability. Like, I'm never going to play in the NBA. I'm
Right.
not tall enough.
Right.
Nowhere near fast or can jump high enough. Actually, that's not true. I can jump pretty high skateboard. But you take people who don't have top-tier intelligence, not the strongest, but if they work hard enough, they can find their apex. They can find that point where they are successful and they can make it.
Right.
It's not true for everybody. Some people are below that threshold. No matter how hard they try, they're going to need help.
Well, I think that the problem is with any sort of generalization. Perseverance.
Yeah, you know what you guys have just been making? Generalizations about socialists. Like, let's just, where are we at? 413? Let's just go back to the beginning. Let's see what this sounds like.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
And when you look at people that are anti-capitalist, they're really into socialism, one of the things you find is a lot of rich kids.
It's just generalizations.
It's weird, right?
It's fucking
very
real weird. It's because they don't understand real struggle.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they've grown up without it and they have these ideals. Like, they feel guilty because they've grown up without struggle.
Oh,
and they want to help the
sure.
world. And they think
Yep.
capitalism is evil. And I never saw my dad.
Yep.
So we need to get all these rich people and they need to give that money to all these.
It's not like we've read Marx or anything, yep. It's not like we actually have a systemic critique of capitalist society, yep. We're just mad and privileged, dude. We're angry and rich. That's the socialist for you.
Poor people, we need to balance out income.
You know what else they notice? The people around them were all white.
Angry, rich, and white. Let me just ask you guys. When I say angry, rich, and white as like character traits for someone, who do you, I bet you don't picture a socialist, you know? Like
People that are into socialism?
The people that are into
probably picture a fucking magatard.
Socialism tend to be upper class, upper middle class,
Obviously, we're
white.
generalizing in a big way here.
Right.
A lot of
but
them.
there's some studies, some research that came out that finds the overwhelming majority of the socialists.
All right, let's go back here.
Most important thing. Yes, sure. But you also have to be intelligent. You can't be doing the same thing over and over again. No, I'm not going to quit. Because, no, you have to be able to figure out what you're doing wrong as well as have perseverance. Perseverance is a necessary part of the equation, but there's many pieces to that equation.
But define
boring,
success in that
dude.
regard. Right? If success is...
Well,
You define fucking success in that regard. You're the one who brought up the fucking TED Talk, dude. What is it even talking about as far as success? Probably some kind of fucking capitalist idea of success, which just means become rich. Money is everything. Material. Consume material.
depends on the field that you're choosing.
Right. If you're not smart enough to be an astrophysicist, you shouldn't be an astrophysicist.
Right.
If you're not tall enough to play in the NBA, you probably can't play in the NBA.
Do you think
that's
you
not
can-
necessarily true though? Muggsy Bogues, that dude was amazing.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
He was 5'7".
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He could
was
360 dunk. It was amazing.
Was he 5'5"?
I'm extra fucking bored by this sports shit, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. Get to the fucking point.
Oh, Spud Webb, that's right.
Wow,
yeah.
you shorter than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's very rare.
Right.
We talk about two guys, right? Two
Exactly,
guys
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
I think the average person has the potential and the abilities of being successful, wealthy, if they want, famous. I think one of the challenges we have in our culture is how we're raising kids and what the values we're giving them.
Well, it's also what are you trying to do? Like, what do you? Look, there's a thing. There's a bunch of different things that you just don't have. Like, some people can't sing. They don't have any fucking talent. They just don't have it. Their voice sounds like shit. But guess who else's voice sounds like shit? Bob Dylan. Terrible voice.
Yeah.
How does it feel? Come on, man. People love it. Because there's like authenticity and passion and there's something to it.
Right.
He found out a way to make it work.
He wouldn't win American Idol.
Fuck no. Imagine
Greatest
him,
music, one of the greatest musicians.
yeah, imagine him going like someone saying, "What do you want to do, man? I want to be a singer-songwriter." Okay, just without any music, without any instruments. Just sing me a song.
Probably. Well, you know, there are a lot of people, especially in the internet day and age, that you would not expect to have made it. Who made it?
Yes.
You know, it's-
There's a lot. Yeah. I mean, and then there's rules today that I don't think.
When do they talk more about socialism? Why is this video 20 minutes long if they only talk about socialism for the first fucking 3 minutes?
Really hold true. You know, people say, "Oh, you know, you have to be good looking, you have to be thin." Well, Adele's not thin. She is now. She's thin now. People are mad at her for being thin.
Yeah.
But she just was talented. Just had a powerful voice. Or that woman Susan, what was her name? It was on America's Got Talent.
I don't know.
No, it wasn't America's Got Talent.
X Factor.
X Factor. Right.
Susan Boyle.
These guys are confusing, like, societal expectations with, like, actual truths. And it's really weird. Like, all we're saying is it's a societal expectation that you have to be attractive, and being attractive helps you. Like, you know, like, it's a societal expectation that women be thin. Like, it's not literally, like, ingrained in nature. Like,
Fucking wizard over here. Susan Boyle. She looked like someone's Grammy, right? But she belted out the song that made Simon Cowell almost cry. Wow. But she's just fucking talented. Just really good. You can find a thing. But if you're Susan Boyle and you want to be a comedian, maybe her jokes are fucking terrible. Maybe she would show up at open mic night at Sunday night at the Comedy Store over and over again and keep bombing. And then, you know, she never would have made it.
Yeah, can't learn.
So some people
That's it.
just-
I think if you can learn.
Right.
If you can, you know, one of the problems is people refuse to accept when they're wrong. They
Right.
be self-critical.
yeah, maybe Tim Pool should accept when he's wrong about literally everything.
They don't have an analytical perspective in terms of their own issues. They can't analyze themselves and see the flaws and be objective and introspective. Some people just don't have that because they've been protecting themselves. They have these sort of personality traits that protect themselves from self-deprecation, from understanding where they're flawed.
When I was a teenager, I remember reading that Michael Jordan would watch tapes of himself playing to figure out what he did wrong. I don't know if that's true, but to me, that's
Dude,
like,
where's the...
if you want to be the best, like
Yes.
him, you need to actively look for what you're screwing up and call that immediately.
Well, that's imperative for sparring.
Yeah.
When you're sparring, like we used to film a lot of, back when I was competing, we'd film sparring sessions and fights, particular fights, but sparring sessions was critical because you could see how you were telegraphing something and then you got countered. You could see how, and sometimes you don't think you're doing it. Then you realize, like, oh my God, I'm dropping my hand every time I do this, and then you get caught.
Crazy.
Yeah,
It's like-
that's with everything.
It's like poker.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving your tells away. And it's nuts.
But I think most things you'd be better off seeing. Like with comedy, it's massive, it's gigantic. You know, visually see yourself is like primary. That's number one. A little bit less good is listening to yourself. And at a certain point in time in your career, you can get away with just listening in terms of like. But there's a big difference between people who monitor their stuff and go over it and analyze it versus people who don't. It's just it's accelerated learning. It's like taking advantage of all the tools that you're given, and you can apply that to anything that you're trying to do good in life if you have the time and the energy. Like if you're doing a job and during this job, you know, you just show up at work and you try to do your best and you go home, you fuck off and do your stuff. You'll get better at whatever you do.
Exactly.
But if you go and do your job and then afterwards analyze what you did, Pay attention to it. Write things down. Make a diary, perhaps, or review your work, and you'll get better faster. It's a matter of how much time, as long as you don't burn out.
I don't take days off ever.
Yeah, that's weird.
I took a day off yesterday. Had some bad sushi. Well, here's a lesson, everybody. If I don't want to be mean to the sushi people, they're really nice to me, but maybe lay off sushi if they've been closed for a month because of the pandemic. And
well, you're driving from the other side of the country. Text me, dude. I'll tell you the places. There's only I go to like 4 places out here for sushi, and everywhere else I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Well, so here's what I want to say, right? I don't take a day off, and a lot of people say I'm crazy, and I've actually my Monday through Friday is now double shifts every day, and Saturday and Sunday are single shifts in terms of production. So I do Monday through Friday 3 hours and 40 minutes about.
I want to fucking die listening to this.
And Sundays about an hour and 40 minutes. And what would I do if I wasn't working? I'd be playing video games.
But listen to the numbers you just said.
And I thought Isaac Butterfield was bad.
3 hours and 40 Monday through Friday.
Yeah, and then an hour and a half per weekend day.
Yeah.
That's still not a full day's work. That's still not a full week's work.
So
the average person.
an hour and a half of recording is like 10 hours of research.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you're working more than
it's like 8 hours. So I'm doing constant research in between.
Research.
Checking, and then once I get everything in line, I think I'm confident on what I have, and of course I'm not perfect. Then I record for about 20 minutes. Then I get back to researching, reading, and so it's.
There's another benefit though. You work for yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't have some dickhead over your shoulder telling you what to do.
I chose this though, right? So there's a couple things. When you brought up, you get good at whatever you do. I tell my friends, every second you spend doing something is an investment into being better at that. So if you want to come home from work and play video games all day, you'll be really good at video games, man. Maybe start streaming.
They're at fucking Ben Shapiro speed of their mouths right now, dude.
Channel. Maybe you can make some money, maybe a personality, but you gotta earn it. Or maybe there's something you want to do that instead of playing video games, you do that instead. For me, when I'm not working, I'm just sitting around like, why am I not working? What am I doing? I ended up taking yesterday off. I didn't work today because we're doing the show, and so I'm sitting around watching TV shows like, this is awful. I can't stand it. I gotta read the news, man. I gotta be into it.
Well, you're driven. Yeah, but also you're enjoying it. That's the difference between someone who's working in a fucking coal mine or someone who's working in a field all day picking strawberries. Yeah, they hate the job.
I hear you, but you know how many people hit me up?
Yeah, a lot of those people fucking become socialists.
You probably get something similar, like, how do I do what you do?
And they're not rich, and a lot of them aren't fucking white, because, white people don't want to do that work here. That's why all the fucking immigrants do it for us. That's literally the reason.
When I was working for Vice and I was traveling around the world, 10, 20 emails every week from young people saying, I really want to do what you do. And you know what they would say to me when I was telling them how to do it? They would say, I'll never do that. I would tell them, here's what you do. Do you have any money saved up? No? Okay. Where do you work? You don't work. Get a job, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever you can get. Maybe you can do better than that. Save your money. Once you've saved enough, find a store you want, fly there, cover it. You know what they would say? No. There's one person who said to me, I want to travel around the world and do what you do. How do I do it? I said, you have money saved up. Yes. Excellent. There's a story right now going on in Turkey. All right? You gotta be secure, you gotta be safe, but Istanbul's fairly okay. Fly there right now, film it, and I'll see if I can make any connections on what you find. You know what they said? Well, the money I saved is from my apartment in Brooklyn. And I'm like, right, what's more important? You having your nice Williamsburg apartment or being a journalist traveling around the world? Well, I like my apartment. I'm like, okay, listen. When I worked for Vice, I was sleeping on a couch. Every time they paid me, I put it back and didn't touch it.
Holy shit.
I got a job working for Disney and ABC.
Vice is like a breeding ground for idiots like this guy. Like what's his name? Gavin McGinnis fucking came from Vice as well.
News joint venture company after that. They paid me a bunch of money. I put 70% back. I didn't touch it. When I left, I went to a bunch of these New York digital companies. I'll spare them their names for any embarrassment. Many of them will become rather worthless. This still exists. No big. And I decided after seeing what they had to offer, the bias, this deception, the clickbait, the nature of it, I'm doing myself. And because I saved my money every step of the way, I was able to do so. So then I had an apartment, and I could pay for my plane ticket, to Sweden, to France, to Germany.
Dude, did they even talk about the topic of the fucking video anymore throughout the rest of this fucking 20 minutes at all? Or is it just like, blah, 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 I did this. Let me just fillet myself even further.
And started building up a base. Within about 7 or 8 months, I had gone from red to black. So now all of a sudden, I was no longer losing money. I was making money. And I'm like,
Tim Pool is the man. Dim Tool is an idiot.
It is. A couple years on, ridiculously successful. For myself, I guess it's relative, but I've got several employees, launching new companies. One of the companies shattered a fundraising record.
I became a capitalist. Started exploiting workers.
So that's the path for me isn't the path for everybody, but sacrifice,
Well, you're basically saying exactly what they're saying in the TED Talk, perseverance. And you embrace the grind.
But it's also, what do you really prioritize?
Rogan hasn't even asked him who did the TED Talk or anything.
Yeah, for me, what are you trying to do?
I don't care about an apartment. I want to see what's going on on the ground in Istanbul. So
it's also like who is the type of person who would chase down the stories? The type of person that's really going to chase down the stories is the person that's driven to chase down stories. What you're getting is questions from idiots. You're getting questions from people like, how do I do it? And then when you offer the answer, well, I'm not going to do that. Right. Those are the people that are never going to make it. Like, there's a conversation I had with Ari Shafir where he and Robert Kelly.
What's a reach? Why don't you think he's an idiot? Are you a right-winger? Random chatter? Give me a case of why Dim Tool is intelligent. Center right. Okay. Hopefully we'll pull you over. Hopefully we'll pull you in. Hopefully we'll pull you leftward at least a little bit.
They thought about sponsoring a comic who's up and coming, taking care of their financial needs, and for like a year, and trying to see how far they could get in their career if they didn't have to deal with money. And I said that's the problem is the type of person who's going to make it is going to make it not just in spite of the fact that they don't have any money, but because of the fact they don't have any money. Yep. Those day jobs, those sucky jobs that you need to have when you're struggling, they fucking motivate you. They're important. If somebody just comes along and gives you all the money you need for food, you're gonna half-ass it, and some hungry guy on the other side of town is gonna take all the gigs that you would get. They're gonna write better jokes. They're gonna be more motivated to go to open.
The under socialism no one would work meme. This is incredible bullshit. The only reason why people think that, like, it's a symptom of capitalist realism to think that, like, the only reason why people will do anything is for money. Like, no. The only reason why people do things for money right now is because the system is set up that way. Like, monetary incentive, the profit motive, as it is also called, as, like, sort of a somewhat different but maybe even bigger idea, is just part of capitalism, which means it's changeable, because capitalism isn't set in stone. Would a lot of people do construction work with socialism? Well, yes, because people need homes. Like, well, trashy jobs like I was talking about earlier with, like, fruit picking and stuff like that, like, the reason why immigrants do that, they didn't take the jobs. White people just don't want to do them. Like, people already don't do trashy jobs because they don't want to in capitalism. But with sort of well-being and necessity as the incentive in society and constructing a society around that, people would still do construction because people would still need homes to live in. Like,
they're going to pound pavement harder.
Well, I got a story for you. I'll try to get the details right. My buddy's company, so forgive me if I'm getting details wrong, but he had a social media management company. He started himself. He knew everything about social media, Instagram, and all that, and he started building a client base where I'm going to run your social media for you. Work like a charm.
But the point, my greater point is, like, in the anarcho commune, you would be able to do what you want to do for a living, instead of being forced to do something you don't want to do for money. You know what I mean? Like,
money, get new contracts, these companies know what they were doing. He got to a point where he had to hire people. He ended up hiring a couple college grads, and he put up the ad saying, college degree required. They couldn't figure anything out. They kept calling him, having problems, couldn't manage anything, so he fires them. Rehires again, more college grads, same problem. Eventually has to fire him. Then he hires, because he's running out of money, he hires two high school, I think they're high school dropouts. And he was like, they wanted substantially less money, and at this point, I just couldn't find good people. They worked swimmingly. It was amazing. No phone calls, no problems. These were people who had worked hard, saved up money in their small bumpkin hometown, moved to Los Angeles to make it big. They knew what they wanted, they knew what they had to do, and they said, I will find a way to do it. He said the other people are hiring just like drones. They just wanted a job. They didn't know or care what they were doing, they didn't bother, so they didn't want to learn. But these people who were driven viewed this as just another problem.
Yeah, capitalism creates drones like that. It's a dehumanizing way of life.
We solved on my path to success.
Yeah, that's the mindset, and that's the difference. The mindset of success is the mindset of I will figure it out.
So I think that the problem is how we're raising people in this country. We're raising them to, in certain areas, to expect things to be given to you. You get a participation trophy no matter what you do. Congratulations.
More individual blame for systemic problems.
This is the problem with socialism, and this is the problem with universal basic income, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What is the problem with what is it?
Just another problem to be solved on my path to success.
Yeah, that's the mindset, and that's the difference. The mindset of success is the mindset of I will figure it out.
So I think that the problem is how we're raising people in this country. We're raising them to, in certain areas, to expect things to be given to you. You get a participation trophy no matter what you do. Congratulations.
This is the problem with socialism, and this is
Oh, the participation trophies meme, dude. Jesus Christ.
universal basic income, what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Expecting something from the government, particularly without any financial feasibility. There's no real logic to where that money comes from. Like, show me your
money
work.
Is.
Right, what is money?
You know,
right.
so one of the arguments I keep seeing from a lot of people who have more, I don't want to call them socialists, I think they're just regular urban dwelling, like liberal left type people. There's one viral post on Reddit that said, you've got these conservatives, or you've got these people out protesting so they can enrich their landlords and these billionaires, when they should be demanding that rent be waived, that mortgages, evictions be canceled.
Based.
The government take care of their needs and provide them with stimulus or something like that. And I look at that like, you're very clearly living in a city. What they don't understand is they say things like your landlord isn't a job. Like, I'll argue that there's a lot of very successful landlords who make a ton of money and do very little, but
That's a fucking job.
right.
It's so stupid to say it's not a job.
It's not just that. It's the money you pay in rent can't just be wiped out because there's groundskeepers.
Yeah, but anything you call a job, you can call a job, Rogan. Like, you know that. Come on, dude. I like when Rogan has more left-leaning people on, because he says things that make way much more sense than when he talks to fucking right-wingers, dude.
You're very clearly living in a city. What they don't understand is they say things like your landlord isn't a job. Like, I'll argue that there's a lot of very successful landlords who make a ton of money and do very little, but
That's a fucking job.
right.
It's so stupid to say it's not a job.
It's not just
The point is, there's no, being a landlord is not a job beyond, like, owning property. That's the point.
the money you pay in rent can't just be wiped out because there's groundskeepers, there's maintenance, there's administrative assistants, there's taxes that be filed. Rent doesn't just go into their pockets so they can buy a boat. But they view it this way and they think that money is what you want. When they say these people who want the government to be reopened.
No, we know they pay people. We get that. It's just they hoard amounts that they should be paying those people who do the actual work from those workers. The workers should get the full payment of the work they put in. There shouldn't be a fucking middleman who's profiting off of your labor just because he owns the property.
are simply trying to enrich the wealthy. It's like, I think maybe they make things and they want to keep making things. They want
You mean the economy, not the government.
The economy,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I keep mixing it up. So, but there are a lot of people that don't seem to understand. I think it's because
They want to keep making things. What?
when you live in a city, everything's already there for you. When I lived in New York, the Williamsburg Bridge, boom, there it is. I didn't see it built. I didn't pay a dime for it, and I can just use it. I can cross over. It's just there. And I've never had to, you never had to fight for it, so you just say, why can't I just have it? You see, you walk in any store and there's food. Hey, there's food. Easy. What they don't see is the supply chain, where the food is made, the work that goes into it. So they assume that money guarantees access to it, which it doesn't. If the economy is shut down, the money can't.
Does this guy actually think people who walk through grocery stores don't think, like, about how the food got there? Like, oh, it's just there. It grows from the fucking plastic shelf. No, dude. We know that food is fucking grown and picked and shipped out to stores. Like, what are you talking about?
You walk in any store and there's food. Hey, there's food. Easy. What they don't see is the supply chain, where the food is made, the work that goes into it. So they assume that money guarantees access
We know there's a supply chain.
to it, which it doesn't. If the economy is shut down, the money can't buy you things. The value of the money starts going down. If the farms can't sell any of this to anybody and start dumping and I think it's all fallowing fields, no longer farming, then there's nothing to buy. So if products aren't being made and services aren't being rendered because the economy is closed, what's your money going to get you? At a certain point, when the economy is shut down for too long, and we're seeing all of these businesses close, family businesses, I heard a story, terrible tragedy. So somebody killed himself because their family business of 7 years was shut down. That product is gone. So eventually there's no food to buy. And only then will people realize the government stimulus money has no inherent value. It's the work we do for each other.
Yeah, it's kind of new. It's like a week old. It's like, yeah, wait, no, it's more than a week old. It's like a few weeks old at this point. Oh, we still have to do Rose of Dawn tonight. Holy shit.
That's the argument being left out when you get a biased view on social media or when these people don't quite understand, you know.
Yeah. The Rogan outro sounds real weird, sped up, but oh yeah, I can't wait to do this video, dude. So yeah, that's Tim Pool's take on socialism. Fucking yeah, I wish I had. Let me just listen to the first part again, because I think I have more in the tank on this.
An experience.
And when you look at people that are anti-capitalist, they're really into socialism, one of the things you find is a lot of rich kids.
It's weird, right?
It's fucking real weird. It's because they don't understand real struggle. They've grown up without it, and they have these ideals. Like, they feel guilty because they've grown up without struggle, and they want to help the world, and they think capitalism is evil, and I never saw my dad. So we need to get all these rich people, and they need to give that money to all these poor people, and we need to balance out income.
You know what else they notice? The people around them were all white.
Okay, so this is what I was gonna say. Even if this caricature, this straw man, can we get Joe up here? Because he's so much more pleasing to the eye to look at than fucking Dim Tool is. But even if this straw man caricature of socialists is accurate, it still doesn't fucking discredit them at all. Like, you're not a hypocrite for being, like, quote unquote upper middle class. Like, I guess what I might fit into, maybe, if not just like fucking middle class itself. Even like that doesn't mean you're not a socialist. Like, if you're rich, you can still be a leftist and think that we should change the system and move on from capitalism. Like, ever hear of Bernie Sanders? Like, calling him a millionaire is not calling him a hypocrite. It doesn't matter how much is in your bank account. That doesn't affect what you believe in beyond, like, if you're an actual leftist. Like, you know, like, that's not gonna make you, like, you know, do you guys get my point? Sometimes I feel like I don't have the words to say what's in my head. But even if this caricature of socialists is true, like, they might say I fall into this fucking caricature. Because I'm white. I'm a college kid. I live a pretty bougie lifestyle. All things considered, you know. For your average fucking 19-year-old, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I'm still a fucking socialist, number one. And number two, sometimes the best analysis of what's wrong with a system can be done by people who have no part in it. Like, they say, oh, Marx never had a job. Yeah, that's why he was able to fucking analyze what was wrong with capitalism, because he wasn't a part of it. He was just observing it happening. Like, you know, like, I really do believe that too. Sometimes systems and societies can be best analyzed and criticized from people who are totally removed from them. Criticized from the outside, from the outskirts. And that's how you... Sometimes that's how you get the most biting critiques of things. So, yeah. This is just sad. We need Vosh to get on Rogan. And we need ContraPoints to get on Rogan so that she can explain to him and all of his fans what trans shit actually is, you know? So they stop thinking that we're fucking delusional, but that's that video. Time to move on.